Awesome. My name's Laurent, and I'm the product marketing manager at Blocknative. And I want to welcome you. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are listening in from. At Blocknative, we've been operating real-time infrastructure on Ethereum for the past 4 years and have a suite of products to support validators, searchers, wallets, and dApps. And today, we're going to be focusing this community call on developers and how we at Blocknative think about dApps in the transaction lifecycle. So when a user submits a transaction, there's actually a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that affect this transaction settlement experience. And Web3 Onboard, and specifically these two gentlemen joining me, Adam and Gustavo, I feel like we have to have this like noise that goes off, have tackled the challenges of both dApps. There we go. Have tackled the challenges of both dApp developers and their end users to create a best-in-class experience. Welcome, Adam and Gustavo.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
So if you have any questions throughout the duration of this call, we are super happy to answer them. So just ask to speak and we'll take you off mute when appropriate. You can also post the questions on the Twitter thread and we will get to them. And thank you to everyone who's already submitted questions through Discord and different places. We've sprinkled them throughout this discussion, so we'll be sure to get to them. So first of all, just in case people don't know who you guys are, Adam and Gustavo, can you give us a bit of background of who you are and what you do at Blocknative?
Yeah, go ahead, Adam. You can go first.
Sure. I'm a software engineer at Blocknative, focus on our Web3 onboard products and a few others, but mainly on the front-end engineering side.
And I'm the product designer at Blocknative. I've been for the company for a little over 2 years now, and I wear a lot of hats. So any one of our properties that usually manifests itself in some like visual user interface or UX, I try to have a hand in it and try to keep an eye on it. Lately, I've been focusing a lot on Onboard, so Adam and I have been working a lot together this past year to make pretty significant improvements to the product.
Yeah, it's been really fun to watch Web3 Onboard evolve. So let's just start out with that. What is Web3 Onboard?
Web3 Onboard is a wallet aggregator. It's open source. It allows dApps to pull in our package and support EVM compatible wallets really easy. We've built a couple of different packages for React and Vue to even further abstract the pains of working with EVM compatible wallets. And the wallets we support are hardware, mobile, browser, and injected wallets. And we really try to standardize that experience for dApp developers across all those different types of wallets.
And why was Web3 Onboard created?
Web3 Onboard was created to do that, just to standardize the experience and allow easy access to dApp developers to really develop in the EVM Ethereum space and speed up the process. It's open source as well, so we really work with the community to build out the features and listen to what's needed by these developers to do all the really cool things that they're doing these days.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting because you look at where dApps fall into the transaction lifestyle, just the ecosystem of blockchain, and they have this very, very important role of bringing those use cases to Ethereum and all these different layer ones and layer twos, making that experience for people building dApps easier for them to have their users connect to wallets is something that's super important. Can you talk to us a little bit about how Web3 Onboard is different from other wallet libraries?
Yeah, absolutely. So Web3 Onboard, we take a strong stance on being open source, listening to our community, and that involves having the best DevX that we can provide. Our documentation is a product in itself, and we focus a lot of attention on our docs and making the process for integrating Web3 Onboard and there's a lot that goes into supporting all the different wallets, and we really try to make that simple on all angles, getting started, as well as customizing and for the power users, really digging in deep.
Yeah, I mean, Web3 Onboard is, I think, like one of the most I wouldn't say like complete, but in terms of like how many wallets we support, chains, ability to customize things, having like an open source code base, having like open source contributions. We have like a ton of community members that submit wallets like on a daily basis, and usually every release has like, or at least like for the last few weeks or a few months, usually every one of our releases has like at least one community PR that makes it in. So in terms of like the footprint the Web3 Onboard has, I think it's like one of the biggest ones in the space. We definitely listen a lot to our users and to people on Discord and on GitHub. So a lot of things get integrated in there, and a lot of community requests get integrated into Web3 Onboard. And that kind of goes hand in hand with the documentation. I think like we have so many features and so many like things that have been like baked in there that it's a pretty important documentation that shows users or allows users to like discover and use those features. It's not rare for us to get a community like request, and oftentimes it's like something that we can already do in the library, and we just like need to kind of like surface the documentation or surface a feature a little more. So yeah, it's like huge footprint, very, very complete, very like open and growing like super fast. Our Blocknative and our team like pays a lot of attention to Web3 Onboard, and we focus a lot of resources on it. So I think all that like comes out in the final product.
Yeah, it definitely does. One of my favorite parts of our Blocknative Discord is the Web3 Onboard channel, because people are always chit-chatting in there, asking questions, and it's really fun to see, both of you in those Discord channels responding to users, to responding to dApp developers, and really trying to understand where they're going wrong or how we can help them more, or what we can do to make their lives easier with Web3 Onboard, which is really fun.
Yeah, that's another layer, like on top of all the work that goes into like development and documenting. Actually, like a lot of our team, especially Adam, spends a lot of time talking to people one-on-one on Discord, which I think is not always the case. It definitely like takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of effort. But like I said, our team pays a lot of attention to Web3 Onboard.
Yeah, it's definitely one thing I really love about the Web3 and Web3 community as a whole, but specifically with Web3 Onboard is interacting with the developers through Discord and GitHub, understanding features, getting on top of those requests as well as bugs, which just happen as the space evolves. But being able to unblock developers, and it's a lot of fun to really work with them. Another point on how Web3 Onboard is different from other wallet libraries is, Blocknative is the mempool ninjas. We're the nerds with the infrastructure, so we're able to offer some extra features that a lot of other wallet libraries aren't able to, like real transaction notifications, in-app transaction preview, gas estimation, which is all part of our Web3 Onboard packaging. And those features really came about from our community and developing them with the tools we had to allow dApp devs to really innovate.
Yes, I love that. You just mentioned, a few of the things that we are able to offer because we are the mempool ninjas and we have all of this infrastructure that allows us to do that. You mentioned transaction preview, which, I came from the wallet space, and I find it to be this really amazing tool that dApps can use to help users transact with confidence. And if we kind of take a step back and look at a typical transaction lifecycle today for a user, let's say that I have 0.5 ETH and I want to swap it for X token. The dApp that I'm using will then tell me what the rate is. I do some mental math to figure out what I expect to get in return. And let's say I do this mental math and I expect to get 10 X tokens in return for my 0.5 ETH. But a lot of times what actually happens is when I settle the transaction, I only get 8 X tokens. And I'm left frustrated trying to understand what happened and really having no knowledge of what occurred. But this is the status quo in the industry. And I'm just like, okay, well, that's that. And I'll learn. But I know that as a team and a company, we looked at this use case and we said that shouldn't be the de facto standard, especially as we want to onboard more users and want to bring in that next cohort of people. So we developed a solution which we call transaction preview. Can you guys tell me a little bit more about it? How did it work to integrate it, and how it came to life?
Yeah, absolutely. hit the nail on the head with that obstacle of, if I talk to my mom about transacting on Web3, the process of not knowing, slippage and getting different values in return than you're expecting, let alone hitting, confirm in your wallet and not knowing what's happening, are a few of the things we really took head on. And the first big obstacle we really took on was that transaction lifecycle, which we built Notify, which is our V1, and then integrated it into Web3 Onboard. And that really gives the end user, after they click submit, it lets a user know where in the mempool and the Ethereum transaction lifecycle their transaction is. So you'll see a user can get will get an alert to let them know that their transaction ending is in the mempool. And once it is confirmed, they get another alert. And that's a new to Web3 ecosystem feature that I think is really valuable. And the next step is, well, it's kind of a prior step, but something I've been looking into more recently is transaction preview, and allowing end users to really understand the gas that's going to be used in the transaction and the slippage and transaction they can expect when swapping tokens. And this is run against our Ethereum nodes and the current block height, so we can provide the end user with a real clear, accurate response on what they can expect with their transaction.
I love it. It's so great. And how difficult is it to set up transaction preview as a dApp developer?
If you have Web3 Onboard rolling, it's super easy. You pull in a package, using Yarn or NPM. You initialize it with a couple optional variables, and then you pass it into Web3 Onboard. You do have to supply Web3 Onboard with an API key, which again can be set up for free and takes all of maybe 3 minutes to get rolling with.
Amazing. I know that we are all pressed for time, so making it easy to integrate is always of utmost concern. You guys also just released customized theming. Talk to me more about that. I know we just launched the video, and I was looking at it. I was like, this is super, super cool. What were you seeing? Why did you do this? And how was it making custom theming possible?
Theming, want to style a library to fit the look and feel of the integrator's dApp is like a pretty, I'd say, like common request and like common feature we see in the space. So, we've done some work to enable a little bit of customization, but in the last couple months, we've taken like a closer look at it and really streamlined the process. The goal there was to, I think, allow a lot of integrators to do, I would say, like 90% of the things they want to do like very, very quickly. Instead of like having to like dive really into the weeds to like customize everything, we try to like develop like a set of like top level items that you can change. And I think like for the most part, people can get really, really, really close to what they want it to look like in that way. And then on top of that, we still have a lot of like our kind of like legacy way of customizing things. And then that really allows you to like really, really dive into the details and change a lot of really granular parts of the experience. And we did this something community for like a while. So I think like in this last release, we really been like really, really close to coming up with something that really works for most people, and also not just for our existing integrators, but the next, who knows how many integrators that are gonna install Web3 Onboard. We want that to be like very easy to do, very intuitive to do from the get-go. So that was like some of the goals doing that. And along with that, we also built the theming customizing tool that's on our documentation site, and we're also working on like documenting how to do that as well. So again, that all goes hand in hand with the features. We also like want to spend some resources and some time coming up with some documentation and educational materials and communicating the features as well, so people know how to take advantage of them.
And it all started, if I'm correct, from a user hopping on Discord and saying they wanted dark mode, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's been like on a roadmap for a long time, and it's definitely come up in a lot of different ways. It's on our GitHub issues, and it's on like a lot of like conversations that we have with our users. So I wouldn't say it stemmed from like any one particular place, but it's something we talk to people pretty often about, and like comes out in different channels on a fairly regular basis.
Yeah, that's great. We've already come to life, so it's pretty cool and really great work all around getting that through the door. And another component that I know is something that's super requested and that we have is the chain and multi-wallet component. And as soon as you go into this multi-chain, multi-wallet component, it brings a whole new level of complexity. But it was increasingly something that really developers wanted and that end users really want as well as you swap between chains and you start looking at different wallets that you use. How did the team look at this, evaluate the landscape, and make this really life?
Yeah, this was a really interesting challenge, and a huge shout out to Aaron Bernard and Taylor, who was also on the Blocknative team that really work hard with us to develop this out. But this was one section that uh, as there's different layers to Ethereum, you have rollups and side chains and all these different forces for wallets to move through. We really tried to abstract the challenges there to allow dApps to easily make those changes, like switching chains, connecting to multiple wallets, multiple accounts, and standardize them. So we abstracted a lot of the pain points out. And with Web3 Onboard, a user, most users have multiple wallets, especially injected, browser wallets. So users can connect wallets as they'd like. You could have MetaMask and Coinbase, or MetaMask and Trezor, or Gnosis Safe and Wallet Connect, all connected to your dApp at one time. And then a user can decide which wallet they would like to transact with. And just the same with chains, as easily as selecting the chain within app that allows the users to really become power users without having to go up into their wallets and move different, understand these different wallets and really get into the weeds there, and puts it all in one place so the dApp and the user has the power.
Yeah, it's all about removing those friction points, which is so important. And I think a lot of times our ability to kind of go back and be more in that infrastructure layer really helps out dApps, because we're able to say like, hey, we can do these things that really help your users out, and you don't need to worry about it. Just use Web3 Onboard. So it's great to see that. And I know we're just looking at this, Adam. Remind me from the community perspective, how many PRs and contributors do we have?
Yeah, I was looking at this morning and was really blown away. So we have around 290 PRs from the community that have been closed and handled by a Blocknative team, and that's with 90+% of those being merged in with some collaboration. And diving in a little bit further into the Web3 Onboard read, 81 total contributors. I'd say 6 of those are from Blocknative, and then we have 318 of this project out there, and our stars are doing great on that GitHub. But the community is so strong in the Web3 space and collaborative. It's a lot of fun to really see the project get the interaction and support, and the community drives a lot of the features by developing them out themselves, and we work to help maintain code standards and QA and all that. But it's community driven, and just a lot of fun to see it moving the way it is.
Yeah, it really is a testament to the Web3 community and how much people collaborate, and how putting all our minds together is really the best way to create the best products in the future, which I love. I love seeing it come to life. It reminds me too of Wallet Connect V2 that is coming up. App developers are on top of it. They know it's happening. And we recently, we've been working with the Wallet Connect team on getting that out the door. And it was a topic earlier. We're seeing people say, hey, are you guys going to be ready for V2? What's happening? And we did that alpha launch to just make sure app developers could look at everything, make sure that they're ready to go for the V2 launch. Talk to me about working with different projects and companies to give these dApp developers the best experience possible.
Yeah, definitely. Working with the Wallet Connect team was a lot of fun, and getting V2, which is quite a change from Wallet Connect V1, rolling along with the deadline of the end of February for sunsetting V1 has been a really fun exercise working with that team, and they're going through different processes to get ready on their side and squashing bugs that they're finding in the new packages, and we maintain real close communication and handle those on our side, and really try to be clear through our documentation and Discord and Twitter that of those changes. But they're not the only wallet we work closely with. There's I'd say the majority of the wallets we support, including the 30 plus injected browser wallets, a lot of those PRs came from their team, and we have open lines of communication with them, and it's just been a lot of fun to really get to know these different teams and watch them all grow. And with ETH Denver coming up and the different conferences around, it's really cool to all get together and put this to names, and yeah, it's just a real good time.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited to go to meet a bunch of different wallets and dApps and that are using Web3 Onboard today. It'll be fun to meet in real life, finally.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, we have a bunch of different injected wallets you can connect to. So what are all the wallets you can connect to on Web3 Onboard? Don't list them out. There's too many, but maybe just the categories that are allowed.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, all the big players in the injected space, MetaMask, Coinbase, Tally, Zerion, Wallet Connect, that list goes on and on. We have a lot of the hardware wallets, a huge number, Ledger, Trezor. That's another long list. Gnosis Safe is a really close partner with us, and we work closely with them on different aspects and features. So yeah, all the big injected browser wallets, all the big hardware wallets, and a lot of the smaller teams. We're one of the first points of contact for new wallets in the space, because of the open source nature of Web3 Onboard. It gives a platform for these wallets to get their name out there, and also to work with a team that the Web3 Onboard team that knows the standards, and it's a learning process for both sides as the space evolves.
Definitely. Gustavo, I would love to hear a little bit more, working with all of these different projects and trying to find this cohesive way to showcase wallets for people to connect to their wallets using Web3 Onboard. Talk to us a little bit about your design process and how you go about thinking about all these different things.
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of the goals in Web3 Onboard is to make it work in other people's websites and other people's dApps. So I don't think it's not so much about making like something like incredibly unique or like really diving into it, but more about making something that can work for everyone and can like adapt to its context, basically. So we really try to focus on the aspects of Web3 Onboard that are going to like affect the most amount of users and integrators. We also have to think about like the end users. So like we kind of have to think about our users and making sure that they have a really good experience. So we try to set a pretty high standard for, accessibility patterns and making things like very visible, very like clickable, making sure that there's, like we're like a little bit of conservative in a lot of the things we do in there, just because they affect so many people. Like the footprint for Web3 Onboard is incredibly large. So we have to make sure that we're like serving the most people in the best way possible. And one really good of doing that is to just set a high standard for ourselves and set a high standard for the user experience that we try to provide. And usually that translates pretty well to not only the integrators that are using Web3 Onboard, but also the end users that are using those integrators' dApps. We want them to have like an awesome experience. And we want that to like reflect in the people that use Web3 Onboard. We want them to be able to offer that to their users as well. So we try to take all that into consideration and really have that drive our decisions. And hopefully, hopefully all that intention and all that care really like makes its way all the way to the end users and the people that are using like the Web3 space. And, not just the people using it now, but, like the next 100, 1,000 dApps that are going to come into this in the next like 100 wallets and the next like millions of users that are going to be in the space. We wanted to serve them as well.
100%. Very well said. We're very lucky to have you designing all these experiences and having those come to life.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I know we left, but I would love to close with this question of just what are both of yours like favorite features of Web3 Onboard and that you feel like are just a no-brainer for dApps to really make sure that they take the full functionality into their own experience?
My favorite right now is the transaction preview, being able to really understand what's going to happen with your transaction is huge to me, and I enjoy using it in my day-to-day when I'm transacting on Ethereum and the different EVM chains. And then aside to this, it's not really a Web3 Onboard feature, but a Web3 Onboard Docs feature is the theming tool where you can drop in your website's URL or a screenshot, depending on how your site's set up, and try out Web3 Onboard and see how it's on your site, and then theme it to your site. And if you like what you see, it's super easy to not only drop Web3 Onboard in your dApp, but theme it to look exactly how you want it to.
Yeah, super cool.
I would say some other things that I like the best. I don't know like one single feature in particular, but there's a lot of little things that we do in Web3 Onboard that make a big difference for the developer experience. So I'd say one of my favorite things about it is it's very widely supported. So if you have a React app, if you have a Next app, a Svelte app, if you have a vanilla JS app and whatever framework you're working in, Web3 Onboard, you'll be able to use it there. So not only can you use it in a bunch of different projects, but if you're a developer in the space, you can, and this is something you're familiar and you like this tool, you can do different projects or take it to like different stacks and integrate it just as easily, have all the features that you're used to be supported there. You're going to be able to like bring your themes and like edit them like really easily in between all these projects. And you're going to have access to all the features that Web3 Onboard has. So like multiple wallets. I mean, I don't know if I can say that it has like, we support like the most amount of wallets, but we're pretty high up there. So multiple chains as well, having real-time notifications that are like powered by some of our Blocknative's like infrastructure. That's like a very unique thing that we can offer that again, you can like take into different projects, different teams, different stacks. You can all use that and it's like super easy. And the other really cool thing that I think like doesn't get a lot of attention and it's like a little bit hard to translate is that you can connect multiple wallets to Web3 Onboard at the same time. So on your dApp, you'll be able to let users have their MetaMask wallet connected and maybe a Wallet Connect wallet as well. And maybe also like a hardware wallet at the same time. So that's also like, it's not just like being able to connect those three wallets, but being able to connect those three wallets at the same time on your dApp. I think that opens up a lot of possibilities for end users. So just a combination of all those things and the combination of that experience, I think is one of my favorite things about Web3 Onboard.
Yeah, very well put. Super true. Well, we're 3 minutes over because we're just having too much fun. But thank you so much, Gustavo and Adam, for being here and talking to us about Web3 Onboard. If you are a dApp developer and you want to look into it, please go to onboard.blocknative.com. It's where all our documentation is. It's a really great place to start. And you can join our Discord via the links there and chat with us directly and also check out the GitHub. Thanks again, Adam and Gustavo. It's been a pleasure speaking with you both.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.